And the constant struggle and battle that we play is understanding that marketing environment. And so we'll talk a little bit about that in this chapter. The sources, analyzing that to make better decisions, because you start to think about the amount of clutter that's out there and the amount of people that are, vying for customers. As we said, it could be somebody across the street from us or in the same shopping center or, right next door, as the case may be. We see that a lot with hotels. So talking about this different types of information, which we will discuss here in just a minute, and you'll see the definitions. Again, all the things that are happening, and as we said before, the effectiveness of our plan and the steps that we have to take to ensure that we know that it's effective, right? And various instruments used to do that. It's an interesting thing that I'm sure I'll touch on more than once is that I think I mentioned in the last chapter comment cards. Comment cards were great, but as many of you know with comments, usually if it's great, we make comments, and if it's terrible, we make comments. There's usually not anything in between. So trying to find a way to survey that is as accurate as possible and as realistic as possible is a challenge. So we talk about that quite a bit. And if somebody want to actually, for lack of a better word, in their mind, waste their time doing it. And the marketing conditions, legal. We teach a lot of, I shouldn't say we, I used to do alcohol training. Great profit center, but the issues that go along with it. So there's, there's things like that we talk about when we talk about marketing conditions and things like that, and what the rules are, what the laws are, things like that. We'll go over the competitive thing again, as we said, so a little bit more math again. You look at market share, okay, and the number of customers. Now, from the marketing standpoint, that's very, very basic. It's not to say that it's not important, but you're going to see in this course when we start talking about revenue management and we start talking about indexes, this is one of the things that you'll hear us say over and over again. This slide is bottom line thinking. We want you to start thinking top line, scratching way below the surface of this. This is very, very generic stuff. We want to dig a lot deeper, and you'll see as you get further into this course and you start to look at some other materials that are provided here that this is a starting point. It's a good starting point. We want to know this information, but we want to go a lot further than this as we move forward. And you see this identifying the different type of people. Hey, okay, sure. Everybody in this town that we live in is a potential customer. Great. Now here's what we charge. So let's narrow it down even more. Now let's focus on this group. Whoever they may be. That's what we want to start looking at, right? And then you just look at some stuff like you understand how you break this down by regions, city size. Like I constantly, when I worked for a national chain, we were compared to other regions, and in some cases we thought it was fair, some cases we didn't think it was fair. And I'll give you a great example. I worked for a company that moved me from Texas to Mississippi. Based on the region and based on cost of living, I got $200 to move. My friend moved from Texas to New Jersey. He got $6,000 to move based on the regions and the demands of that region. Okay, and the different types of products and price points that we were going to offer in different regions. Same food, possibly different prices. It's an interesting thing. So then you just kind of look at how it's broken down as far as like who we're trying to market to. What are the characteristics in the region, the city size or the density? What kind of marketing are we going to do based on that? And then, of course, age groups, income groups. Again, it is as nuanced as we can get it to figure out who exactly we are looking for to do our products and service to, right? So, we dig deep, very deep. You can see this representation on this map. Potential spots for us. Okay, that's great. It looks like we have a lot that are close to us. Here's the bigger question. Are they coming? And then menu mix, products, types of guest rooms, drinks at the bar in our hotel, packages on our cruise ship. What works? Why does it work? Is it because of where it's placed on the menu? Is it because of it's a seasonal product of where we're located? Is it because it is just purely tastes great? Why does A move and B doesn't move? Or why does B move and A doesn't move? These are the things that we look at constantly. I tell people all the time on a menu item, wherever you are, if you take something off, someone's going to get mad. But sometimes you have to say, it is what it is. They're upset. There's nothing I can do about that. It's not cost effective for us to leave this on the menu. Someone's feelings are going to get hurt. They're going to get upset. If it's one person, sometimes it is what it is. So again, factual information, that would make sense. Where you get it from. Internal is, again, establishment, and it's already in existence, right? External sources, distributed at no charge. They give you their opinions about what people are looking for, right? And then primary for specific decision-making purposes. So you take all of those and you say, we have this and we got this. And listen, in some cases, I know it said vendor on there. It may be stuff from your vendor saying, this is just crazy popular right now. People are going nuts for this and really need to look at this. Or there's a lot of demand for this, or this product's going to be out pretty soon, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's kind of the job of a vendor in our relationship, is to tell us things like that. Mention this once, twice, 6,000 times. Retain, retain, retain. Obtain and retain, right? Again, tied to the economic health of the city, state, or nation. So sometimes we do everything we can. There's nothing we can control about it. It's external factors, right? Away from home purchases made from discretionary income. We see a lot more now, typically speaking, with newer generations of consumers coming into the market, that they seem to want to, in the case of food, eat out a lot more than they do at home. Not all of them, but a lot of them, a significant amount, and it's given rise to some new markets. Monitoring your local economies for trends. Hey, construction's going on to make this road better and expand it, but it's going on for the next 8 months, and that road is exactly how most people get to my establishment. What is that going to do to my business? Or this new festival's opening up a block away, and it's supposed to draw 100,000 people over the weekend of, Memorial Day. What will that do to my business? It's looking at those things. Again, legal environment, laws vary, and it's very interesting, and in some cases bizarre. Some of you may know this firsthand, how laws are enacted. I lived in a city where there was one bar that was open till 4 o'clock in the morning, the only bar in town, and there was only one road in and out to this bar. So when all the regular bars closed, I think you know exactly where law enforcement was hanging out. And the fact that they knew, and the people that were at these places knew, but didn't stop them from going. But understanding the laws, anything that changes, if we all of a sudden decide that you can start serving this, or customers are allowed to do this, so that may change. You just have to wait and see. Always keep abreast of that stuff. Know it. Vendors, again, I can't really have a successful operation if I can't get the products I need to produce to get the service, to get the guests to come back. So, are they bonded? What kind of insurance do they have? What products do they offer? How often do they deliver? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Linens on our beds at our hotel. It's a vendor. Okay? Right? I mean, stuff like that. Silverware. Glasses. Chicken breast. The most nuanced stuff that you can think about, that vendor relations become important. And again, frequency, price, all those things factor into it. There are tons of vendors that sell everything that wants your business. Why do you carry Coke instead of Pepsi, or vice versa? And why do you carry this beer instead of that beer? It's a constant battle. So that relationship is something that you always need to examine, reevaluate, and in some cases you may have to change. So what is the expectation? So again, competitors, since you've opened, have new businesses open that are your competition. And, restaurants, yes. Hotels, yes. Cruise ships, yes. Competition. A lot of our establishments, especially on the restaurant side, tons close in the first year. Typically, it's not product. Sometimes it's service. A lot of times it's mismanagement. But you're going to see new places open. And you may go, they don't even really do what we do. But they're a hotel and you're a hotel. They're a restaurant and you're a restaurant. They're an event planner and you're an event planner. So it affects you. And it comes and goes. Places are going to close. Places are going to open. And you have to keep track of that. Why do you think they closed? What did you hear happened? Right? So, and your market share is something that you want to continuously look at. And I go back to this one more time. This is that top line thinking that I want you to focus on. Demographic factors, like we talked about, we get the breakdown. We want to know all of this information. The more stuff you can tell me about the person that walks into my hotel and how much they spend, the better, because it helps me focus in on my customers. What do they like to do? What do they believe? You say, really? Yes, really. The human characteristics beyond 42 years old. They like outdoor things. They like to bike. They like to do this. They want to work out when they're at the hotel. They, blah, 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 blah. We want to look at all those things in determining what we're looking for. So again, we go back again to our definitions. As you can see, there's a lot of them here, so make sure you go over those. And again, there you see a vendor, you see someone placing an order, cheesy stuff like that. Okay, tell me about the target market on the right. Tell me about the level of competition on the left. And who are your competitors? Would you think that Fridays and McDonald's compete with one another? Well, I can tell you based on this example right here, they are. Because it looks like that might be Times Square, and there's a ton of people walking, and they may just decide to stop there because, or they may say, oh, it's Times Square, and this place has been here forever, and we got to do what we have to do, and everyone's been at this place before, and we have to eat here. You wouldn't normally think that those two would compete against each other, but that's part of that market that you're looking at, and I'm sure if we panned this picture out and looked across the street, you'd probably see a couple more restaurants. So knowing who you're up against, knowing what you do, knowing who you serve is critical.